What up? I'm Alexa Van, and this is the Bad Creatives podcast where I talk about everything I'm working on and working through as a weird little ADHD artist living in the world. If you feel like you're too much or not enough, or you just don't know where you belong, you're in the right place. Today, I want to continue the conversation on unmasking, specifically in my romantic relationships and how I ended up dating a way younger man. This may not seem like it's related to being an artist or a creative process, but I truly believe that the people who we hold closest and we keep closest in our lives are going to have the most impact on ourselves and what we put out into the world. So I think it's all connected. And who we choose to spend our life with can make or break a person. The bad creative, yeah. And because of that, I have definitely sworn off of dating altogether and definitely sworn off men multiple times in my life. But here we are. So how did I get to dating this younger man after having sworn off of dating forever? Well, here's the story. I'm a millennial, even though I believe I am a timeless, ageless, ethereal being. I'm also a millennial, and my boyfriend is a Gen Z. Do you say a Gen Z or just Gen Z? Whatever. So there's an age gap. There's a significant age gap between us, and we're of different generations. But I've always been a person who has never felt like the right age. I tended to gravitate towards men who are older than me. I think mainly because they just were the ones that really went for it with me, being more reserved and stuff. People kind of had to be willing to really stick with it to get me to open up to them. When I say older too, I mean like anywhere from 3 years older to I think 10 years older is the biggest gap I've ever been in with dating. I think the biggest pattern I've noticed with dating men who are older than me is they kind of come with the same package. I don't want to be rude if that's like your age and you're a man, but your emotional dexterity reminds me of stale bread. It's just very hard to cut through it, and it just like falls to crumbles in bits. It's really hard to bite into. It's hard to chew, okay? Y'all need to become French toast or something like that. It was easier for me when I was younger to look up to whoever I was dating and kind of like, oh, like you're further along in life than me and blah, blah, blah. That ended up creating a dynamic of me like second guessing myself, not always trusting my inner wisdom. Older men come with this rigidity disguised as wisdom, when in reality, it's just this I know better than you possessiveness that, to be blunt, is like emotional immaturity. So even though they're older than me in age, it pretty much just stops there. So that's what got me to where I am right now, which is dating a guy who is way younger than me. When I met this person, like we were just going to kind of dink around, have a good time, be silly. I was not expecting it to get serious. A little bit about our story and how we met and everything. My previous relationship, I'd been with somebody who was 10 years older than me. He had a kid. He was really rigid in his ways, even though he kind of had this air of, I'm spiritually open and a free thinker and all this. I found him quite arrogant and unwilling to open up to certain things and almost kind of like a performative way of being woke, but he lacked having done the inner work on himself. So when shit got real and I was like, I'm finding out this stuff about myself, I think that some of the problems we're having is because I'm autistic. He was just not having it. He just was like, I don't think that's true. I think you're just controlling. That was where he was at with it. And I was like, you know what? I'm just done with this dynamic. I don't think you're ever going to see me or hear me. And I don't even feel like explaining it to you because I don't think you're going to listen. I was burnt out. I moved back to LA. I had been living somewhere else. I didn't have a job. I didn't know what I was going to do. So I winded up working at this bar. And I was like, man, I can't believe I have had the last couple of years that I've had, which have been wild, to end up back in LA at this job that I didn't really want to have. And it was just like a weird, like what happened all of a sudden to the last 2 years of my life. And cut to meeting this guy who had literally just moved back to LA the same amount of time ago as I had. He also had just gone through a breakup with somebody who he'd been with. And he also was weirdly at this job, didn't really want to be there, but was making the best of it. And we were both working on other things in our lives that were really important to us. So it was like the job was this catch-all meeting place for us. And I loved talking to him. And I felt like a lot of the other people who worked there, the men especially, they were just kind of like dicks. I don't know why. I just felt like they were like weird and had egos. So when I found out at the time how old he was, I like jumped out of my seat and I was like, no way. You act so mature and so smart, so well-spoken and so emotionally intelligent. I decided to go to Berlin and him and I were talking about it. He's like, I love going. I go every year. And I was like, well, you should go when I'm there. And he was like, yeah, I'm down. Let's do it. Because I figured, okay, well, if it's weird when I get there, I'll just go do something else. I'm down for an adventure. And I thought, he was cute. I didn't really have much to lose. I was a little worried about the fact that we worked together, but when in Rome, right? So we both went to Berlin. We met up there and we ended up just having such an amazing time. It was so fun. It was so cool. This person, he was so open, so emotionally flexible, so sexually liberated, way more than I am even, and that's a lot. That's saying a lot. And so unfazed by anything that I would say or do. I was like, you're different. Because this was the first time we'd ever actually hung out. So it was kind of a crazy thing to do. But I loved that he was down to just like go for the adventure. I noticed right away that we could just talk. You know, when you could just go anywhere in conversations with people and they can just meet you there. That's so rare for me, intellectual intimacy. So I was really excited about that. We had all these things in common. He didn't relate to people his own age, just like I hadn't when I was his age. He'd had a crazy past like I had, so he understood that. And we'd both gone through quite a lot to get to where we were, and we both saw the world in a similar way. He's playful, but he's dark. He's emotionally intuitive, and he wasn't so locked into his own ways of doing things like other people who I had met. So like when the feelings started turning into feelings and not just I'm being weird and crazy at clubs in Berlin, which is, you know, not the real world, sadly. I noticed myself relaxing around this person and feeling really at ease. And every time I thought there was something that I couldn't say or bring up, when I did, he was just like, fine. I didn't have to baby him or hold him through it. He was just like cool with it. And I know when we're dating somebody in the beginning, especially for autistic people, it's not that I'm intentionally masking, but I'm excited and I'm feeling those new crush endorphins or whatever that is. I might push myself to do more or be more crazy or more open or free or whatever in the beginning. And I can't like sustain that forever and always. So I'm definitely being like a version of myself that's like maybe going out more than I normally would want to and things like that. And then later on in life, I might actually pull back. But what was so funny about that is when I got back to LA, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to keep seeing this guy anymore. We're at work together and I don't want to make that weird. I realized though, the more and more I opened up, the truth of me, like, I don't actually really like to go out that much. He was like, honestly, neither do I. Any like thing about me that was like the truth, like I'm working really hard on my life and goals right now, my dreams. I don't really have that much time to hang out. And I was saying all these things that might have been a deal breaker. He totally met me there and then some. And so I felt like, who is this person? Who is this person that just came into my life and just blew my mind? And why are you so young? This is unfair because now I feel weird. I just went to Berlin thinking we were going to fuck around. I didn't know that I was going to be going to the gym with you later in California and driving around. And like now we are getting tacos and being normal and real and acting like we're dating and stuff, but also I liked it. I am a human. I feel insecure sometimes, but when something comes in my life that feels good and it feels right, I will challenge those insecurities because I don't want to let them run my life. I don't want to let them run the show. So here I had this open invitation to date this person who was younger than me and making me feel kind of insecure because I was like, I don't want to be looking at us in pictures and wondering if I look bad. Am I going to just say, I can't handle this? It's too weird. I don't want to be the older one in a relationship. I don't want to be thinking about this stuff. I don't even know if your prefrontal cortex is fully developed yet or if I can trust everything you're saying or doing, you know? I'm very impressed by you and how amazing you are at this age, but I just felt like, would this make me a bad person? And the irony was not lost on me that I had just dated somebody who was literally 10 years older than me and had a kid. Why is it that I feel weird because I'm a woman? And I knew the truth was, I don't care what other people think. I really don't. They can all go fuck themselves. What I care about is that I wanted to protect myself from feeling really bad about getting older and aging. I had some issues with, I've mentioned before, with my mask being like, oh, I want to make sure I look good on the outside. And I thought that it might be exacerbated by dating this like attractive young man, that I was going to be having that on blast and that maybe that would be too hard for me. But I decided, meh, I'll get over it. And I decided to go for it. Screw it. And I was hesitant. Like I kept pumping the brakes. I wanted to go slow and all that. But he was cool with it. Anyway, we ended up locking it in, and we've been dating for, has it been over a year and a half? I don't know exactly when to count when we officially started dating or not, but it's been long enough now to where I feel like the things we have worked through in that time have definitely shown we stand the test of time as far as what's in our control. And I know that we don't ever know where life is going to take us, but I continue to see this relationship evolving and impressing me and really just blowing my expectations out of the water, or wherever expectations typically are. Once my energy around it changed and I leaned into just being like, I love this person so much. I'm so obsessed with him. He's amazing. All my friends, they all love him. Everybody loves him so much, which is a huge compliment because I have some like man-hating girlfriends. If you're a woman and you feel safe around a man, God, what a compliment. You know what I mean? He's very sweet. He's very secure. He's not a jealous person. And what has happened because of that is it's made it so I could finally let my guard down. I don't have to have these boundaries where it's to protect myself. I can actually let go of those and be like the sweetest, ooey-gooeyest part of myself that I've truly never felt safe to be this version of myself. And I don't ever want to let anybody hurt him. I would lose my shit. I trust him fully. And we just have like such a beautiful connection. And I'm so grateful that I didn't let some weird societal BS stop me from experiencing that, because I never would have known that this existed, first of all, or that this part of myself existed and that I could just be so safe and so relaxed and so sweet and vulnerable and open. And that's created so much space in my own life. Like my creative ceiling is just blown off. I feel like I have safety to be able to go for what I want to go for in my creative world, not as an escape from a relationship. A lot of older men, they really only know how to be supportive as like a provider. They never really learned for themselves how to be emotionally vulnerable. And so they can't meet me where I'm at. How could they possibly meet me where I'm at? They've never even been able to do that for themselves. And they just meet me with logic and facts and all that. And that stuff is great, but sometimes it's limited, you know, and I live in the world of whimsy and it's cool here. If you can't come in, I don't know what to say to you, because me and my guy, we're both fairy princesses and it's fucking sick in here. Now, my creative, my artistic world has like totally broken open because this part of me is broken open. In a good way, like broken open, spilled open. Broken sounds bad, but I mean it in a good way. There's no ceiling to what I'm doing because I'm reaching new heights in myself and new depths in myself, and I can go really deep with this person. It's not wearing me down anymore. It's not bringing me down. All I know is he's totally accepting of how fucking weird I am, of the fact that I'm autistic, the fact that I'm not ever going to be conventional, and he's doing what he's doing. He's living his dream life. I'm trying to stop myself from ever doing what older men have done to me in the past. Sometimes I have to bite my tongue. I'm like, I want to tell you not to do this. I think that's true with being any age. We always want to tell people, I told you so, but I don't do it. And part of that is because like I feel like he's so sweet and gentle that I'm like, why would I even say that to him? He's like an angel. I would never say anything to hurt him. I'd probably do it on accident because he says I'm like really cold sometimes, and that is true about me, but I just get really burnt out. Then I don't know how to sugarcoat what I'm saying. And I try, you know, I'm working on it, but I'm actually not really working on it. It's just, it comes with the territory. Sometimes I say things and it sounds rude because it's the truth. And he's tried to tell me before, sometimes you should lie. Maybe you could lie a little bit, you know, Like if he got me a shirt and I said, I hate that, I don't like that, and I don't want that. He said it made him sad. And I said, I don't know why you would have got me that shirt because I don't like that. Anyway, little things like that. But he is not ever thinking that I'm pretending to be autistic just so that I can be a jerk. He's like, I get it. You just aren't thinking like the same way as me and you're burnout. We meet each other in the middle most of the time. Sometimes I go to where he's at. Sometimes he goes to where I'm at. We're both really independent, and that strengthens our relationship. I'm like wild and free, crazy person, and so is he times 100. And we don't have to censor ourselves in what we're saying around each other. I think I noticed with other people I've dated, I really couldn't open up all the way because they were just like so weirded out by all the things that were in my past or in my brain. They were like, whoa, you're scary. And I was like, well, you're boring. So I love how we get to be like little kids together. It's very playful and silly, and that's just so good for being an artist. This has been so helpful for me to be able to balance the masculine and feminine structures in my own life and in my own art, because we need both. Unmasking is not just about your identity or your art. It's about who we let close enough to influence the nervous system that we're creating from. Our nervous system can only stretch so much. So if you're constantly on guard and trying to fit into a relationship that you don't belong in, you're not going to have as much stretch. You're not going to be able to take these big risks in your art. You're not going to be able to take these big leaps or launches in your life and with yourself. This relationship with this lovely younger man has become one more way that I have learned to stay truer to myself and my life. For all of you people out there who don't know if you want to date somebody because their age is weird, just go with your gut. If the connection between you two is amazing, just trust that. As long as it's legal, don't be weird. Don't take this and do something gross and illegal. Other than that, have fun. The bad creatives, yeah. The bad creatives. The bad creatives.